What's up, barbecue fans? My name is Jake and welcome back to the patio. It's a beautiful sunny day. It's actually hot already. It's 75, the humidity's up, but we're going up towards 90 and that's awesome. This is only the second time I've been able to film outside this year. And last time it wasn't too bad, but today is a gorgeous day. And to be honest, I like to be outside and close to the smokers and film out here rather than in my kitchen. So I'm excited for today. Let's talk ribs. So recently I've been doing some videos and we've been talking about ribs, the membrane, and smoke penetration, and some differences between backyard barbecue and competition style barbecue. And right out of the gate, it's important to understand that competition barbecue is all about edging out your competitor by that single digit percentage, right? You need to stand out. They pack it with flavor. They're doing everything possible to maximize that flavor, including injecting meat with phosphates and some other chemicals and stuff to make it extra juicy, layering on seasonings, ripping off the membrane, and every single thing they can do because they want to win. And wouldn't you want to win? Of course you do. That's the whole reason why you're in competition. But it's designed for one bite. And one of the things about starting a YouTube channel for me was it pushes me to try new things. It pushes me to change my mindset, right? I've been smoking meat for 30 years. I've done it a certain way for a very, very long time. I ripped the membrane off for 15 years. And then I started to follow some larger barbecue channels, people who had worked in restaurants, and some of the large restaurants started putting out videos and none of them were removing the membrane. So I stopped doing that a few years ago. And I did a video about it and everyone talked about smoke penetration. So I recently put out a video where I bought some ribs. I didn't realize they were peeled until I was just about to film. So I was like, what am I gonna do? So I threw some foil underneath the ribs, heavy duty, double foil, and everyone's like, oh, that's not a real test. Try it with the membrane. Like the membrane's gonna block more smoke than a piece of friggin' tin foil. But I'm here for you guys. So today we're gonna do 2 cuts of St. Louis style ribs, and we're going to leave the membrane on one, and we're gonna see the difference. We're gonna take you through that process. Look, at the end of the day, I'm not telling you how to do them. I'm sharing my opinion and I'm sharing the process that I go through to make my own personal barbecue better, right? If I did the same videos all the time, you guys would be bored and the channel wouldn't do well. And my brisket today, 5 years later, since I started my channel, is night and day different. You learn a lot. You can't do the same thing over and over again. So always trying to do different things. And off camera, I'm trying other things. I don't always cook like this on camera, but I want to share with you guys some valuable information, whether or not you agree with it or not. But if you don't do it, then you can't learn. And my goal here is, if you want to go see perfect barbecue, there are a ton of channels that will show you perfect barbecue all day long. That's not me, right? I'm here to do some backyard barbecue. If I make mistakes, there are countless videos out there where I made a mistake and at the end of it, I was like, next time I do this, I will try to make this change, or I'll change the temperature, or I'll do this. I'm trying to share the mistakes so that you guys can learn and avoid making those mistakes. I don't sit here and practice every single video I do. I figure out during the week what I want to film and I roll with it. Lots of times I've never done that before and I'm just doing it on camera live for the first time. I mean, I think about the 1,000-layer potato video I did. I had to run out twice in the middle of that video to get things because I'd never done it before and I underestimated how many potatoes it needed, right? So, I'm doing things to share my passion for cooking and that's it. So, enough of me babbling on, but if you're not subscribed and that kind of video interests you, I also like to drink rum and Coke. It's still early. We'll have one before the end of the video. But don't forget to subscribe. Let's go get our ribs. Actually, before I do that, we're gonna use our Yoder today, and we're using Bear Mountain oak pellets. And we'll hit our start here. And today we're gonna start at 200. I wanna get some smoke in these guys. This is a smoke test, so I wanna make sure I give it some time to get some smoke. We're gonna let that guy warm up. And hey, quick side note. I've been running with the Yoder for about 5 years now, 6 years, 5 years, somewhere in there. And you know, I bought it my own dollar before I even was thinking about starting a YouTube channel. And today I've got over 500 cooks. And lots of people they ask about the Yoder versus the Kamado versus the offset and that type of thing. And it doesn't matter what smoker you use, right? There's lots of people that are anti-pellet grill, and for the longest time, I was kind of in that camp. But what I turn out today on my Yoder versus what I turned out 5 years ago is night and day. I blow people away with the kind of food I can pull off on this guy, and I can put it next to my offset or my Kamado. So, you know, if you're in the pellet grill market or you're new to the pellet grill world, I have a product. It's a digital download. It's a recipe guide. If you've got a Yoder, you can also add on a pizza guide that's 30 pages. The main guide is 46 pages. It's got over 220 images in it, and it is a recipe guide of the 6 things that are most common in barbecue that I've made a ton of and that I've kind of fine-tuned and perfected. If you have an interest in that, just check out, I'll put the link here, but it's just www.pelletgrillsecrets.com. And actually, I'm sorry, I'm lying. You want to go to pelletgrillsecrets.com/level-up, and that'll show you exactly what it is. If you just want my 11 secrets to more smoke, you can go to pelletgrillsecrets.com and you can just get that. It will redirect you to the digital page as well. But let's go get our ribs. We're smoking. We'll close this guy up, and I'll be back in a second. So here we've got some St. Louis style ribs. These are from Creekstone Farms, and they're looking pretty good out of the package. I haven't done anything with them at all, right? Got a little bit of a meat flap there, got a little bit of a meat flap here. We're gonna take these guys off. This will typically just burn. And this guy's got a weird bone stuck here, so I'm gonna take that off. I'm gonna square this right off because there's a bunch of cartilage in there. No one wants to chew on that. And I'll take this guy off while I'm here. And this guy's got a little bit of a stain. There was some meat underneath the package, so it's stained the membrane. We're gonna take off our membrane on this guy. Usually if you just get a little bit of a knife or a spoon, this membrane's, there we go. You just kind of lift it up a little bit, and then you can take some paper towel, give you a grip on it. Just like that, we got the membrane. All right, now what we're gonna do is today we're going to use some Heath Wells competition rub. Get a shot of that guy. I bought a couple rubs. Lots of people in the comments like, oh, you can make your own rubs. Yes, you can, and I do it from time to time, but you know what? I like to try all kinds of different flavors, and the only way to do that is to try other people's rubs, and then I look at them, I'm like, oh, what was in that one? But you do you, right? At the end of the day, what's the best thing about barbecue? You make it your own. There's no rules, there's no right or wrong ways. There's ways to make a better end product. And I mean, look, I think my brisket is pretty damn good. I'm sure if I went to Texas or something, I might not be so proud. There's a little bone right here at the end that I missed. So I'm gonna take this guy out because it's right at the end. But, you know, all I can do is keep trying, keep watching other videos. I mean, I watch videos just like you guys do, and that's how I learn. I also learn through trial and error. I mean, I put a lot of time in. I smoke meat almost every single weekend between my offset, the Yoder, the Kamado. I'm always smoking meat and always trying to get better. My neighbors love it because my wife doesn't eat a lot of it because she's a health nut. My wife's actually into powerlifting. Sorry, I can speak. You know, she's like 5'3", and she's deadlifting 325 right now. She's only been doing it for a year, so I'm pretty proud of her. You know, what's come out of that is I don't talk back because she's gonna pick me up and throw me out of the house. But pretty proud of how far she's come. So I don't give her a hard time too much about eating barbecue. My neighbors like it, I like it, and I take a lot to work for my employees. I got 25 hungry mouths there that will tear through some barbecue on Mondays. So we got a pretty liberal coating. You know, the other thing that people say is that the rub will not penetrate through the membrane, but you know, there's like little gaps of meat this big. It's not gonna go through the bone, so I don't really understand that one, but we officially have an apples to apples comparison. Hello there, buddy boy. And we will find out in a few hours. Let's get these guys on. For those of you who are paying attention, the one without the membrane is gonna go in the back. We'll let that go. And look, I got asked about this tray a lot for some reason. This was a Costco special, walking through there one day, and they had them. They had a red and a blue one. They're great because I can kind of prep some meat on them, and I don't always have to clean my cutting board because, you know, with wood, I gotta wipe it down, clean it properly. And sometimes when it gets really dirty, if I'm cutting a bunch of meat on there, I carry it inside and then I wash it down with a sponge and soap and water. But these are great to have, or get yourself some cookie sheets or something like that. Just makes prepping a little easier and a little bit easier to clean up. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna let this guy go for, I don't know, an hour and a half or so at 200, then we're gonna start to bump up our temperatures. The one thing about the membrane, I'll tell you out of the gate, if you're gonna do like a low and slow, unless you really do it really low and extended, the membrane can be chewy. Part of keeping that membrane on is you push your temperatures up, right? So we're gonna do a good chunk of cook at 275. I wanna get some smoke in it now, and then I wanna get that heat. And in something like the Yoder, we've got our hopper on the one side and we've got our burn box on the other, and then we've got all this convection going out the stack, right? So there's a lot of air moving that's helping to dry out that membrane. But the most important thing is you want a little bit of heat in there. If you cook them at like 225, you might end up with a slightly chewy membrane. So just push it a little higher. That's really the only secret. And if you do a little bit of research right now, you're starting to see a lot of people are cooking hotter and faster and getting amazing results without wasting so much time. So look that up and see what you think there. And look, if you've got some ideas for videos and you want to see me knock something out, I respond to every comment in the comment section. Leave something down below, all right? So I'm gonna go clean up and I'll see you in a couple hours. So it's been 2 hours. First off, cheers. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna change our temperatures. We're gonna bump them up to 250. An hour and a half in, I opened up the Yoder and I could see that the racks were getting dry. That means our rub is nicely tacked up. And what I did is I used my sprayer here, and I have 50/50 water apple cider vinegar in here, pumped it up, gave it a little bit of spray. And at this point, we're probably gonna spray every 45 minutes or so, just to help keep the ribs moist. Let's bump this guy up to 250. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go 250 for another hour. 250's at that point where we're gonna continue to get some smoke. I mean, if you take a look here, you can see how much smoke's coming out at 200. The great thing about the Yoder and using some good quality pellets like Bear Mountain is you get a continuous blue smoke throughout the entire cook when you're running it like 200. As you get up to 225, it's still there, but when you get to 250, it's not quite as much, and then 275 is about the highest you're gonna go and still get a little bit of smoke flavor, but you're not gonna get much past that, right? The fire's just burning too clean. So I'm gonna go another hour at 250. I wanna start cooking these a little quicker, and we're gonna get some more air moving over the one with the membrane on it. And then after an hour, we're gonna bump that up to 275 until they're ready to pull off. Let me show you what they look like though while we're here. All right, so we're at the awkward time of day where the sun is coming over the house, but I'm gonna dial this down so you can see what's going on here. But as you can see, they're dry. It's been about 40 minutes since I did this, I guess. So we'll add a little bit more spray there just to give them some more moisture. Doesn't take a ton, not trying to make them swim, just give them a little bit of moisture there. And at this point, we'll just let them go for another hour. So we are at the 4 hour and 45 minute mark. These guys are done. Let me show you what they look like. So the only thing I did is I did rotate them around. They were originally like this, but there's your guy with the membrane. There's your guy without the membrane. And you know, generally you want to be able to pick them up in the center, good 3-4 inches. They're just starting to crack when you pick them up, so we know that they're done there. The other thing you can do here is, if you look at our temperatures here, we're at 202. All right, so we're gonna finish somewhere between 195 and usually 203, 204. But they're both looking, you can see that crack right there. They're both looking really good. Same here, right? There's our crack. These guys are done. So we'll pull these guys off. So let's talk a little bit about the cook. So we went 2 hours at 200. Then I bumped it to 250 for an hour. That gives us 3 hours. And then for an hour and 45 minutes, we rolled at 275. All right. So the one thing I will tell you because these are pretty darn good looking ribs, right? Give you a shot of that right there. Beautiful color. I mean, unfortunately, we're not in the sun, but it's a great, well-balanced color. And what was happening as these guys sweated out a little bit, some of our seasoning started to run down the ribs. So I wanted to make sure they looked picture perfect. So what I did is I took a little bit more of our rub here, and I sprinkled some on a couple times, and I just lightly misted it with water so it would blend in. And that's how you get yourself a great looking rib. We want to have, there's a couple spots here, but overall, I mean, when you look at that guy, they look pretty darn good. Got some great color and some coverage there. So now what we gotta do is we gotta let these guys cool down for probably 15 or 20 minutes. And then we'll see if they taste similar and what the smoke ring looks like. All right, so unfortunately we are in the shade and these things don't look nearly as good as they are, but here they are in the sunlight just to prove to you that they look absolutely amazing. Ollie and Cookie are around. They smelt pork. They came running over right away. So we're gonna try some of this. Let me see which one's which again. So this is no membrane. You can see a little bit of a shiner came through there. And obviously that's still got the membrane on there. So we're gonna cut right in the middle, although I'm gonna go away from that shiner because I think that that will not be as moist. Some of the moisture would have leaked out of there, but cut this nice into the bone. It's rough filming this time of year when you're in the shade because things just don't look as good as they are. I gotta tell you, my dogs love pork. I mean, they love food, don't get me wrong, but something about pork gets them super excited. So let's take a look at the one with the membrane. Hopefully that's gonna come across, but you can see that there's a nice smoke ring all the way around. Let's take a look at this guy. You can see a very thick smoke ring around the outside, and you can see a little bit on this end. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna come across in camera. Membrane on is on top. I mean, they're pretty damn close. They are really close. See if I see any better on. I got a pretty good shot there. All right, so I'm gonna try the ones without the membrane to see if the other ones are more smokier. So. That's a good rub. Some people said that the membrane was chewy or difficult to bite through. I mean, it is not. Don't even know it's there. Good amount of smoke flavor there. I purposely didn't put a sauce on there because I didn't want it to cloud my judgment. I can't tell the difference. Not in the slightest bit. When I used that foil, I could tell a little bit of a difference, and I called it like a 5 to 8% difference. I cannot tell the difference at all. People say that stops the penetration of the rub and smoke. Our smoke rings are very, very similar, and the taste is identical. So, you do you. But, you know, the myth about that membrane blocks smoke penetration, not true, right? That's like saying you should only turn a steak once like we used to do back in the day. The seasoning and everything, you can absolutely taste it throughout the meat. I don't see any difference between these whatsoever. Try it for yourself, prove me wrong. Do me a favor, try it for yourself and then leave it in the comments down below and tell me I'm wrong. If a whole bunch of people tell me I'm wrong, maybe I'm wrong. Everyone's taste buds are different. Mine's are not competition barbecue judge taste buds, right? These are backyard taste buds, and to me, these taste absolutely delicious. I mean, we've got to give a little bit here to the dogs. All right, so Ollie, gentle, gentle. Good boy. Cookie's always gentle. Good girl, yeah. All right, so dog approved, Jake approved. Hopefully you approve. If you do, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And if ribs are your thing, I got you covered. I'll share one of the videos I'm talking about right now in this video. Check that one out. Thanks as always for watching. I'll see you soon.